This next one, I'm excited to talk. Okay.
This is a good one. This is some positivity
It's
here.
new me in 2023.
Yes.
And so we are going to take a look at this lineup, and both Adam and I have decided on several bounce back candidates. Now, when you
Bounce
look
back
at
or
what
step forward.
or step forward, and I think that's a really good thing to bring up, to a little
Clarify.
qualifier here, because I know I have picked a couple guys that had decent seasons last year to take another step forward. So I'm going to start here. I'm expecting big things out of George Springer in
Okay.
2023.
I like
Okay.
it.
2021, George played 78 games. 40 of those 78 were at designated hitter. Really struggled to stay on the field in that first season with the Blue Jays after that mega signing. Last year, a little bit better, but he definitely played through some major injuries. He played 133 games, and he limped through so much of the season with those elbow troubles.
Mm-hmm.
He had bone spurs in his elbow. The good news is for George Springer and for Blue Jays fans and for the organization in general, he had surgery. His elbow is completely cleaned up. I heard an interview with him on the MLB network just the other day, him talking about he feels the best that he has felt going into his season in years. And I truly do think that with his cleaned up elbow and less time at center field, that we're going to see a 900 OPS season out of George Springer. I think we're going to see a season that we haven't seen since he was a Houston Astro. This is an interesting stat too. Outside of pitchers, okay, so obviously pitchers get injured more than any other player in baseball, but center fielders are injured per game played more than any other position out there, more than catcher, more than shortstop, more than other premium positions where there's a lot of wear and tear. So I think the ability to move George out of center field, having great options in Kevin Kiermaier and Dalton Varsho to take over, because when you were just relying on Whit Merrifield as the fill-in center fielder, you really felt pressured to have George in that position. And I think allowing him to DH a lot more and to play right field should see him on the field healthy more often, which is just going to translate into more production from George.
Yeah, I like what you said there about Whit Merrifield too. I'm not down on Merrifield, but I definitely understand the sense of urgency that would have been tough to ignore for George when he is missing time or filling in strictly as a DH, where it's like, okay, there's a real step back in defensive and offensive production when he's out of the lineup. So, yeah, we saw him grimacing quite a bit in 2022, really forcing his way into the lineup. I don't think that urgency is going to be there this year, and I think that's a good thing. Yeah, like, hopefully, no bad tacos for George Springer.
Agreed. Wouldn't
But
that
if he,
be such a success?
but if something does come up, an oblique or a nagging, whatever, a rolled ankle, just give him a week off. Like let's get him back to 100% and then bring him back. We don't need to rush and push the envelope, push the issue here. So I think that's good news. I like
The
that George
mental
Springer OPS 900. I like that prediction.
the mental side of this is so huge as well, because George Springer really is such a leader and such a clubhouse catalyst that, and I relate this back to comedy, right? Like,
Hmm.
let's say we're on stage and you're absolutely killing, you're doing your job, but you haven't been writing. You're just doing it with old material. And even though you just killed, in the back of your mind, you're still giving yourself guilt and you're beating
Yeah,
yourself up, and you can't really enjoy the victory, right? And
yeah,
I think that this does translate a little bit to baseball, where George Springer, while he's DHing last year, watching Oscar Hernandez
hmm,
take a day in center field, right? You're sitting there in DH spot and you're just like, oh God. So to just eliminate that mental strife from the leader of this clubhouse and give that ability for him to take a day off and not be in this kind of like panic mode, I think it's only going to be a good thing for this team.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right. I see your 900 OPS, and I'm not a good poker player. I raise you. I call. I'm gonna throw another 900 OPS at you. Bo Bichette, 900 OPS, 30 home runs in 2023. I think he has
I
a
like that.
big year. Honestly, I'm looking down this projected lineup here for the Blue Jays. Let me read these names to you, okay? Springer, Bichette, Vlad, Kirk, Chapman, Varsho, Jansen, Merrifield, Kiermaier.
I love it.
I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm looking at 6 guys that I genuinely think have a shot at 30 home runs in 2023. Now, caveat, I am combining Kirk and Jansen. I think Kirk and Jansen
Okay.
combine, we get 30 home runs out of the catcher position. I think Dalton Varsho, 30 home runs this year. I think Matt Chapman, 40 home runs this year. It's a free agent year. We're going to talk about this a bit later. I think Matt Chapman really balls out for the Blue Jays this year. Vladdy feels like a lock for 30 home runs. I think he's going to take a step forward. Bo Bichette, I think, has and this is saying a lot, the best offensive season he's put together. We always see him hitting right around 300, leading the league in hits last 2 seasons. I think he does that again. I think he hits over 300 with 300 home runs. I think Bo Bichette has a big season.
I really like this prediction, and I like it for a couple of reasons. It really did feel like Bo came into his own in September of last year. Obviously, baseball is all about small sample sizes, or all about large sample sizes. One thing to keep in mind, it is constantly talked about how 1,500 plate appearances is where you really get the sense of what a hitter is, because the league has adjusted, they have adjusted, the league has adjusted. They've gone through that song and dance, and now you're really looking at what a player has become. And I think that's where Bo Bichette is at. He's had just over 1,600 plate appearances to this point in his career. He is now heading into his age 25 season. If he puts in 3/4 of what he was in September, he is going to be an all-star. He is going to probably get MVP votes. He's already led the league in hits the last 2 seasons. I think that a step forward from Bo Bichette is very possible and would just be such a bonus for this team.
Big time. All right, who's your number 2?
Okay, my number 2 is Matt Chapman. You just touched on it here. He struggled so mightily out of the gate in April and most of May as a new member of this Toronto Blue Jays organization. His peripheral stats showed that even with this struggle, as much as mentally you could maybe see this coming, going to a new organization, it showed he had bad luck. So despite those struggles, he still was getting a lot of hard hit, putting the ball in play, getting a lot of hard hits. His exit velo was excellent. Barrel rate was excellent. Just a lot of bad luck. I think that he's 29 years old going into this season. It's his free agent walk year. He's comfortable in the clubhouse now. He knows his role with this team. That is a huge thing when you're a player coming from another organization joining a new team, is finding where you fit in the clubhouse. And I think it's a bigger aspect than people give it credit for. And Matt Chapman knows what he is and who he is to this team going into 2023. I liked your prediction of 40 home runs. I was going to predict that myself. I think Matt Chapman has a very similar season to what we saw Josh Donaldson do when he was playing third base for this team. I think he's going to get some MVP votes. I think he could be a guy to hit 5 to 6 wins above replacement in 2023. And we already know how good his defense is. I say sign Matt Chapman now.
Agreed. I love it. Okay. My number 2 and my number 3, I'm cheating here. These are the same player. These are both Bo Bichette as well. I think Bo Bichette has an MVP season. I think all the frustration that some Blue Jays fans have with Bo gets put to bed once and for all this year. I think after this season, as far as the fan base goes, he's going to be the priority in extensions, not Vlad. I think that's the kind of season we get from him.
I would love to hear what all of you are thinking right now. Who does everyone out there think is going to, from within the organization, take a big step forward and really help this team moving forward in 2023?
Here, let me read. I know defensively he gets ragged on. Offensively, I think we can all agree he's a stud, right?
Yeah.
We got some comments calling Bo Bichette a POS. I forget what was the response to that. Pretty. I need to cut this whole thing out. Now I'm totally blanking.
No. It was something about offensive stud.
Pure offensive stud.
Pure offensive stud. I know we came up with it there.
Let's get the t-shirts made now. Bo Bichette is a POS. Pure offensive stud. Okay, so I'm gonna read you some numbers here quick, Scott, and you're gonna guess what do these numbers represent, okay?
Okay.
25, 26, 25, 25, 27, 28, 22, 28, 31, 30, 29, 27, 36, 35, 31, 31, 32, 31, 30, 27, 26. What do those numbers represent?
Oh God, I don't know.
Those are the ages of Gold Glove winning shortstops in the year they won their Gold Glove. In the American League for the last 20 years. Francisco Lindor has one at age 22. That's about it.
Probably never to be done again.
Basically, everyone on this list has won it at the age 25 season or older. Bo Bichette's been 24 for the last year.
7 years. No.
I think this is a big breakout season for Bo defensively as well. Okay. Beyond that list of numbers I read, so Derek Jeter in his 30s won 3 years in a row. Prior to that, A-Rod, 26 and 27 back to back. And then we have like a decade of Omar Vizquel, who won 11 career Gold Gloves. He won his first in 1993 at the age of 26. So this is a as good as it gets defensively guy. Didn't win his first Gold Glove till age 26. Then went on to win 11. Mm-hmm. So this is just what I want people to keep in mind, because sure, there are frustrations and growing pains with Bo Bichette defensively and critiques of his arm strength, and I get it. But we do just need to remind ourselves he's a baby.
We've seen it internally before too. Look at, in fact, why don't we get into this? My last pick for a big season from within, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We watched his defense improve over the last couple of years, where he went from liability to Gold Glove winner. And I'm not saying Bo Bichette is necessarily a Gold Glove shortstop, but he's within that age range. We've seen him make phenomenal plays at shortstop. And I think this is one thing that Blue Jays fans can all attest to. And I think it's why we get so testy and frustrated with Bo, is we've all watched him make plays that 2% of shortstops could make. And then you watch him take a routine ground ball and sail it over Vlad's head, and you're just pulling your hair out, screaming.
Souvenir for the fans. Yeah. Cal Ripken Jr., pretty good shortstop. We can agree.
We can agree.
Rookie of the year when he was 21 years old, playing shortstop and third base, had 19 errors that season. Ages 22 to 24, he had errors of 25, 26, and 26 in those seasons. Went on to win 2 Gold Gloves. So I'm not saying Bo Bichette is Cal Ripken Jr., but he sure plays a lot of games. I really think Bo Bichette going to have a massive season. Like,
I love this pick, and
awesome
I
season.
also am a Bo believer. We will move on from here. I do just want to really quickly touch on the fact. Don't forget Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit 48 home runs only one season ago. Don't forget that Vladdy hit over 300 only 1 year ago. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was chasing the Triple Crown until middle of September, only
Yeah,
1 year ago. He is 23 years old. He turns 24 in March. The kid is a baby. He won a gold glove last season and still put up 32 bombs in a year where the dead ball plagued all of baseball. So I
great
think
point.
get excited about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., get excited about Bo Bichette. These two gentlemen have been the cornerstones of this team since 2018 when the rebuild started. And that has not changed. And I think we're going to see some really, really big years out of our two cornerstones. Very happy 2023 to all of you. Thank you so much for all the support you've given over the last year. It means the world to Adam and I. Feel free to join the Discord show. Link is in the show notes. Walk Off Podcast on Twitter, the Walk Off Podcast on Instagram, Patreon. Feel free to join us. We've got real reasons to do so now. If you don't wish to wait for the clips to come out, if you would just like the unedited version of the show right away with no interruptions or advertising, that is now available. And we're going to be doing trivia nights as well, which is very fun. All right, everybody, take care of yourselves. Cheers.